Isolation is a sickness that convinces us that relationships are dangerous. In all reality, life change happens in community. Let's talk about how to be surrounded by the right people. Welcome to the Purpose Project podcast. My name is Brandon Goff. I get to be the host of this amazing podcast and the lead pastor of an incredible church with a campus in Columbia and Florence, South Carolina, called Radiate Church. We're going through and ending today a series of conversations called Cycle Breaker. The idea of the whole series of talks is this: to discuss the truths of cycles that we all walk through every single day and what it looks like to take intentional care toward breaking destructive cycles and walking closer to the purpose that God has for us in our profession, our spiritual lives, our marriages, our families, and our personal lives. It's a new year. It's January 2026. It's a fresh start. It's time to move on. It's time to get towards what God has for us. And it's time to stop making excuses for what we don't like about our lives and start moving forward toward the purpose God has for us. So today, we're going to continue with the theme. No more excuses. No more excuses for destructive cycles. No more excuses for destructive outcomes. But we're going to get out of this spin cycle of destruction and start walking towards the promises and the purpose God has for all of us. Isolation begins in groups. I know, you're kind of like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Isolation begins in groups. Let me explain it like this. We're all born, everybody listening today, we're all born to be relational. We were born into relationships. We were born into a relationship between a man and a woman. We were born into relationships, maybe with siblings, but with other family, with friends. And as kids, we develop relationships throughout life. At school, we develop relationships. At church, we develop relationships as we grow through life. Now, sure, some of us, I know you're sitting out there and you're like, I'm an introvert. Some of us are introverted. Some of us are extroverted. Some of you are like me and you're complicated and you're extrovertedly introverted, right? Like you get to pick and choose. But here's the truth. We all internally desire connection and thrive in relationships with people. Extroverted people just love connecting with everybody. Introverted people love connecting with their people. And that's it. Don't try to add to that number. And both are okay. But it's still the core. We were not created to do life alone. We were created to do life together. And as we live life, we get more and more isolated. We make reasons for that. We develop isolation and we get jaded as we go through life. I mean, friends talk about us. Family walks away. Something we said is taken out of context. Our character and integrity that we built is ignored. Life happens and we lose touch with friends and trust is broken throughout life. We get jaded. We have reasons for all this. And as we go through life and experience negative moments and circumstances with people, we naturally, and I would even say logically, shrink back our circle. And we begin to build walls around our true selves, around our personality, around our vulnerability. And honestly, it all makes sense. It's needed in a lot of ways. It's protective in a lot of ways. I don't want to tell you should just be out there telling everybody everything about your life and just deal with whatever comes. That's not what I'm saying today. In fact, I think protection is honest and it's true and it's real and it's needed. The danger is this, though, that we will use past hurts as a present reason to stay out of future relationships. Let me say that again. The danger is we will use past hurts as present reason to stay out of future relationships. And when we do that, I truly, truly believe, as I've been doing this and living life and pastoring for a long time and coaching pastors and leaders and people, I believe we handicap our purpose when we isolate ourselves. I believe we handicap our purpose because we will not get connected with people that want to see us grow and God is putting in our lives to help us get better, and we all do it in the sake of protection. protection. We all do it to build these walls because it makes more sense. And again, I don't want to say that the circumstances that you maybe have been through in your life aren't reasonable and you need to be protected. We all do. But we can't live in isolation. We need to live in community. In fact, I'll say it like this. The more in you, the purpose in you, is found in connection, not isolation. It helps us get out of there. What I want to suggest today instead is that we get strategically surrounded, first by God, and then by life-giving relationships with others. People that believe in you, people that challenge you, people that don't allow you to stay stuck, people that want you to grow and not stay the same, people that believe for more in you and not just want to keep you in your mess, people that value your voice and allow you to challenge them and speak into their life as much as they speak into yours. Here's the whole concept of this series of talks, if you will. Breaking cycles is difficult, guys. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of introspection work. It takes a lot of personal time. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of hard work. But breaking cycles is not just difficult, but it may even be impossible when we do it in isolation. Because isolation allows us to stay in and even justify destructive cycles. There's no outside voice coming in to see anything different than what we want to see. Let's be honest, we can convince ourselves of a lot. You can justify a lot within yourself. It's those outside voices that come in that help us see an outside perspective in a higher way, because you can't see anything different if you're only seeing what you see. Isolation creates an echo chamber of our thoughts, of our own voice, of our own problems. We can't see any other perspective. We can't see any other thought because we have no one to show us or tell us anything different than what we're telling and showing ourselves. I like the story in Luke chapter 10, 30 through 37. It's actually a very popular Bible story that even if you didn't grow up in church, you've probably heard of it. It's used in leadership circles all the time. Secular businesses, all this use it. It's called the Good Samaritan, the story of the Good Samaritan. It's really a story that you probably know, and it's used a lot of times to teach morality. And I'm behind that. I'm good with that. There's a lot of spiritual there, but if you want to use it on a secular way to teach morality, I'm all about that. But it's not just a story of morality. I mean, I'm behind using it for that, right? But it's also the characters in the story that we, honestly, you and I can become, or we can allow access into our lives. So I want to take a moment and I want to look at those characters and what it looks like to not live in isolation. So the first character that we come across is the person laying on the side of the road. We're going to say that's you and me. Then there's four characters that show up. Number one, there's the robber. The robber shows up and he takes advantage of the man's difficult, disabled position, if you will. Here's the truth. Any of us can become the robber, and we can allow robbers into our life. Here's what a robber is. They will be people that want to use your situation for their benefit. They show up, they see someone stranded in a hard situation, in a hard time, and they decide to take advantage of the situation and see what they can benefit from your pain. Now, it's such a difficult place to be in, but I just want to encourage you, don't give the robber a place in your life. This is where many of us build up the jaded walls because we've allowed robbers in our life and we think everybody is like that. Not everybody's like that, as we see in the story. But when we allow them into our lives, we begin to see people that use our pain for their personal gain. Or when we become the robber, we use pain for personal gain. The only time that you should ever use pain for gain is this, when it's yours. What are you going to learn from it? God doesn't waste anything. So if you've been through trauma, if you've been through pain, if you've been through difficulty in your life, God can use it. And there's a lot of things you can gain from that. But I don't get to be a robber in somebody else's life, and I don't need to let robbers into my life that look and go, you're making a difficult situation. I'm going to use your difficult situation. You're making a difficult decision. I'm going to use that difficult situation and decision in your life, and I'm going to use it to draw attention to me. Don't let a robber in your life. Don't become a robber in someone else's life. And stop getting mad at a robber for being a robber. You gave them access. Don't give them access. They don't know what they're doing. They're just doing what they know. It doesn't make it okay, but I have to be the one that says, nope, I'm going to stop giving them access to areas of my life. So there's the robber. Then the priest shows up. We think, when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, the pastor shows up, the priest shows up, he does it right. Well, the priest shows up after the robber. The priest knew the word of God. He knew the ways of God, the instructions of God, but he stepped right over the man and never helped. The priest in this story is the person that's full of information, full of an opinion, but short on action. They're puffed up on all kinds of information, but have no intention of walking with someone through a tough season. Hear me, there are some people in your life that have great opinions and great ideas, but they're not going to walk with you as you walk through it. They're not going to hold your hand through a hard situation. They're just there to tell you what they think, and if you don't agree, they're going to tell you you're wrong, and they're going to walk away. We got to be careful with those people. You have to diagnose these people in your life, and you have to diagnose if you're becoming that person in someone else's life. And you have to understand they can help with information. They can probably direct you with an opinion, but they are not going to walk with you through life. This person is a reminder that information doesn't always lead to action. I'll say it like this. Information doesn't always lead to transformation. It doesn't always change everything. It should. Information should. Positive, productive information should lead to positive, productive action, but it doesn't always do that. So don't expect action from someone that has no intention of ever doing anything with the information, other than leading you to their side of the conversation. Don't allow a robber in your life. Don't allow a priest to come in and just pump you full of opinion, but no walking through. Listen to what they say. I say it like this to my staff all the time. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Learn what you need to learn, digest what needs to be digested, and then spit it out. It's okay. But if they're not going to walk with you through life, don't allow them all the details of your life. And don't you dare allow yourself to become the priest. And then there's the Levite. The Levite comes by after the priest, stops, looks at the man, sees the need, and keeps right on going. He looks at the situation. He assesses the damage. In fact, he couldn't turn away. He had to see it. He just wasn't willing to work. This is the one that decides to just ignore the problem. Listen, ignoring problems only lead to bigger problems. Delayed solutions lead to bigger problems. Take a moment and fix the issue. In fact, I talked about that on our first series of talks called Frontlines Forward when I talked about hesitation impedes progress. Don't just ignore it. Don't just delay the solution. Look at the problem. If it's urgent, figure it out, fix it, and move on. Stop hoping somebody else is going to fix the problem. Don't be a Levite. And don't allow Levites to convince you to just ignore the destructive cycles in your life. These are the people that don't like confrontation. Listen, I get it. I'm not saying you should love it. What I am saying is sometimes what you don't confront, you won't change. You got to confront the problem. Don't allow somebody to just pacify the destructive cycle and the bad outcomes just because they don't want to face the reality that I've got to do something hard. That's what the Levite does. Don't do that, and don't allow somebody else to do that. Oh, it'll change one day. No, it'll change today. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not delaying the solution. I'm making a decision today. Me and God are going after this thing, and we're changing something today. Don't ignore the problem. Fix it. And then the last one. It's the hero of the story. The Samaritan comes in. The Samaritan stops, sees the situation, assesses the damage, and feels compassion. The Samaritan picks the man up, takes him to shelter, pays for his needs, and gives him a safe place to heal. These are the people you want in your life. These are the people that I say to surround yourself with. Build relationships with everybody, but build tight, close relationships with Samaritans, the ones that embrace you. Be a Samaritan. These are the people, these are your people. Not everyone is a person for everyone, but someone is this person for you. Somebody is. In fact, I would say there's probably multiple somebodies that is this person for you. You need Samaritans in your life that'll stop, they'll care for your need, They'll carry you to a safe place to heal. They'll have safe conversations, give you safe places to pray, safe places to be honest, to be transparent, to be vulnerable, and give you a safe place to get healthy again. These are the people that when you're in the place of changing destructive cycles, interrupting destructive cycles, changing the outcomes, these are the people you want in your corner. My counselor told me this one time. He said, Brandon, you can care for people. In fact, you should, but you can't carry everyone. You can't carry everything. You can care, but you can't carry everything. You can only carry for those that you're called to carry for. Can I give you permission today? Maybe you're carrying too much baggage of people you were never called to carry for, you were called to care for. And get around those people and be a Samaritan for the ones that you're called to their life. Build that deep connection, that transparent vulnerability with them and carry them to safe places and allow them to carry you to safe places. Find your Samaritans, find your people, find your circle, and get strategically surrounded because life change happens in community. Life change happens not in isolation, but in community and in circles. Build relationships with everyone you can, but get surrounded by the ones that will carry you to healing. The ones that'll say, no, don't allow that thought to stay there because it's going to turn to an action. Change that action because it's going to turn into a habit, and you better fix that habit and change that habit because it's going to develop an outcome you don't want. Get around people that are like that for you. Do life together. Never do life alone. Don't do life in isolation. You may think, well, it's safer that way. Maybe, but life change doesn't happen by yourself in echo chambers. Life change happens in community. So we've been discussing all month, how do we break destructive cycles? How do we walk closer to the purpose that God has for you? It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of prayer. It's going to take a lot of effort. And by the end of this year, I promise you this, if you'll put in the work, if you'll put in the prayer, if you'll put in the effort, if you'll work on your thoughts, if you'll work on your actions, if you'll develop good habits, I promise you by the end of this year, the outcomes are going to be different. You're going to be closer to the promises and the purposes God has for your life. And I can't wait to hear the stories of that. I can't wait for you to email us and let us know what God has done in your life in 2026 because we decided we were going to break the destructive cycles. Here's what I want you to remember. You have purpose. God placed purpose in you. You matter. You matter to me. You matter to God. You matter to those you're in relationship with. And we get to be a part of changing the world. I hope this series of talks on breaking destructive cycles has been helpful for you. And if we can do anything to serve you, please let us know. We're praying for you. I can't wait to hear all the good things. Now, next week, we start a brand new series of talks to where we're going to talk about the power of marriage and relationships in your life. We'll see you next week.